Shalom. You reached the He Pray channel. My name is Azim Wath. First and foremost, I want to say Call Halayim, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, 7:13:19, where I learned this truth from, who rule well. Salutations to the Bakiyar, the elect, the 144,000. It's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel consist of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. 144,000 being the governing body within the one-third. The rest of the one-third comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to those Israelites scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So it's not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that die in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King Mashah, who is King David. And as always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Harakach for answering my prayers, permitting me to do such. Baba Kushal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah allowed us to be an edifying lesson to at least one member of the elect. Meant to say Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Harakach. So continuing, the working title is The Elect Have Plot Armor. Right, so I left off on 5 and I only had like maybe a 2-hour sleep. So, the Most High allowed me to wake up and do this video. So let's get to it. This is Psalms chapter 91, verse 1, the title of the section, Security of the Ones Who Trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. The reason why I say it like that is, basically to emphasize Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is who we are to call upon, man. Let me take this call real quick. All right, Salakia. This is I forgot my last couple of words, so after needed to take that call. But I'm gonna start at the top again. This is Psalms chapter 91, verse 1. It says, He that dwelleth in the secret place, which is this truth of the Most High, shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Which goes back to Allah Shadia, which is a terrible demon-like power, which we know him as Yahweh, which is a name that, aforetime we didn't know. But he revealed his name unto his people, the Israelites, those whose line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Verse 2 says, I will say of Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power. In him will I trust. And he's going to make that clear, distinct, and evident in these times. He's going to show the difference between those who believe and those who don't believe, just as he did in the time of Martyrzarium, which you read in the scriptures as Egypt. Everything as far as the plagues and punishments that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai sent to the Martyrzarians, which is the modern day South Sudanese, none of it affected the Israelites. So that's how it's going to be in these times with those that are of the elect. Verse 3, it says, Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, which is the trap of the bird catcher, which is Esau and all his schemes and devices, man. The Most High is going to have a visible cloak, if you will, for, those of the elect that are destined for that lot to be protected. Essentially, all elect will be protected, but, I say this, that some will be martyrs, for Yahweh Bashim Now Shai, and have to go through their head being beheaded, which is cool, because you know that leads to immortality, and the quicker you get to the kingdom and the praise that you will receive for that gesture that you were allotted to, do. It says, and from the noise and pestilence. Pestilence is a disease, or a virus or bacteria. Let's see. Which that word noisome, late 14th century, noisome, harmful, noxious, harm, misfortune, meaning bad smelling, offensive to the sense of smell. You know, Continuing, it says, he shall cover thee with his feathers, which is the chariots. When the elect are taken up, tractor beamed up into the chariots, and their bodies change. That's when they're gonna be underneath his feathers and be protected from the nuclear fire. It says, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Right, because his wisdom and knowledge and understanding is to be the stability that makes us stable in these times. Verse 5, it says, thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. And, the nighttime is the most dangerous time, man. That's why you see a lot of activity at night more so in the day. You know, they do raids, they do military operations, preferably at night. It says, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, which that arrow is dealing with the missiles, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Now, this is dealing with the things that you can't see, because they're going to be releasing diseases, whether it be natural or military applicated, you know, and we're going to be, or I should say the elect are going to be, Yahweh Sharat the Zabi of that number, the elect are going to be protected from those things. It says, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. That destruction at noonday is at the time in which is the bound that Esau cannot go past. No one knows that day, no one knows that hour aside from Yahweh, the Heavenly Father. Let's see if I can find this precept real quick. This is Job chapter 14, verse 5. It says, seeing his, now the his is, essentially everyone. All of our days are determined, except those in this time that are not going to taste death. But specifically in this particular verse dealing with Esau, his days are determined. That's why we're not tripping on his bullshit, because we know that there's an end to it all. The number of his months are with thee. With who? Yahweh. He's the one that is going to pull a plug on this damn devil. Thou has appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So there's a limit to his power, man. It's not there's an expiration date, if you will. Verse 7, it says, now this is when the elect are in the ships. It says, 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee, which is that nuclear fire. Only with thy eyes, and that's looking outside of the windows of the ships, shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, which is Esau, and then also including, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, man. All you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous who have rejected this truth and live in wickedness. Which, this truth is the medicine for your trauma, right? And your trauma is due to sin, right? Verse 9, it says, because thou hast made Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, right? So we made Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai our everything, liking it onto a woman loving or the righteous relationship that a man and a woman should have, man. A woman should, love her husband, as the scriptures say, right? Verse 10, it says, there shall no evil befall thee. So when evil is, which goes into bad times, because it's a compound word, when evil shall befall this world on a large scale, it's not going to touch the elect, man. It says, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling, no diseases, It says, and you have to understand, man, there's an unseen world. You probably have, spiritually JSOC level angels, war angels, standing outside of your domicile, man, protecting you, because mind you that these these people are being moved by spirits, by demons, so these higher angels are rerouting, these demons that are on these people to not do anything onto you, and through experience of prayer, sometimes I pray for no one to come up to me or talk to me or give me any problems and etc. etc. And to even sometimes my surprise, those prayers get answered, and that's just the angels protecting you, right? It says, for he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways, right? And that includes anything that you pray for, man. One thing I've been praying for is more of the spirit, more of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and I've seen an increase, and by me saying that, if you do the same things and you believe, those things will happen onto you. Everything that ever happened to me in this walk was through prayers. Verse 12, it says, they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Right. So basically, they're going to be your protection. Right. So going back to AI, keyword, secret place, refuge, no evil shall befall thee, angels charge. Breakdown, the elect dwell in the secret place, the covering of the Most High, which is within that Torah, that exemption of judgment. Angels are literally assigned to them, right? Everyone has their own guardian angels Interpretation: this is not subnatural plot armor, not luck, not coincidence, assignment, right? So going to Wisdom of Solomon, you got to believe, man. You have to believe that the Most High is with you. You know, and if people saying you're being deceived, you know, you have to differentiate what's righteous and what's wicked. Wouldn't you rather be deceived by a righteous spirit, especially if you're doing righteous things, right? But this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 1. It says, but the souls of the righteous are in the hand of the Most High, and there shall no torment touch them. Right. So no torment is going to touch the elect, man, whether it be the elect man, the elect woman, or the elect child. Right. Verse 2, it says, in the sight of the unwise, they seem to die. Right. Because sometimes Yahweh Bashim Yahushua will remove um, a certain individual, preserving him from the day to come. Let me see. So this is evil leaders rebuked. This is Isaiah chapter 57, verse 1. It says, the righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart or to mind. And merciful men are taken away, meaning they go back to the spirit world, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. You know, so sometimes the righteous are taken from the evil to come, man. You know, and that's how Yahweh Shem Yahushua does it. He leaves the wicked to bathe in his wrath. Notice that none of you MFers got raptured, man. You know, which I believe they got that from a book series, Left Behind or something like that. But the word rapture is not even in the scriptures. Verse continuing, it says, in their departure is taken for misery, and they're going up, and they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace, right? Because their works follow, and when you're in the spiritual world, you're not troubled. Let's see if I can find that. I have to search it on the internet. See what this says. Ecclesiastes 9. I'll just read this. This is, men are in the hand of the Most High. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 1. For all this I considered in my mind, even to declare all this, that the righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. No man knoweth either love or hatred by all that is before him, for them. All things come alike to all. There is one event to the righteous and to the wicked, to the good and to the clean, and to the unclean, to him that sacrificeth and to him that sacrificeth not. As is the good, so is the sinner, and he that sweareth as he that feareth a oath. This is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, that there is one event unto all. Yea, also the heart or the mind of the sons of men is full of evil, and madness is in their heart while they live. And after that they go to the dead. For to him that is joined to all the living there is hope. For a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they shall die. For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything, neither have they any more a reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also, their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished, neither have they any more a portion forever in anything that is done under the sun, because they're in the spirit world. Go thy way, eat thy bread and with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart. For the Most High now accepteth thy works, because you're righteous in the spirit world. Let thy garments be always white, and let thy head lack no ointment. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun. You see, I think there was another one I wanted to get. But I think there's another one somewhere. Let me see. I'm just gonna go ahead and go back to Wisdom of Solomon. I'll probably bring it out in another video because I ran across it. I just can't put my thumb on it. It's in Ecclesiastes though, where it basically goes into how it doesn't really matter what you've done. That basically all men go back to the same place. Let me see. Just bear with me. Yeah, I'll have to bring it out because I don't really remember the exact wording. Uh, so I'll just have to bring it out in another video. But going back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 3, it says, "And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality." And you can read Second Maccabees, the 7th chapter, to get an idea of their so of their hope being. For them being punished in the sight of men, but their hope is full of immortality, right? Because this is the last time, man. So if we die, we're gonna be immortals. Our spirit is gonna transfer into our extraterrestrial, celestial, elect bodies. Verse 5, "And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded, for the Most High proved them and found them worthy for himself. As gold in the furnace have he tried them, tested, and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation they shall shine, and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble." You know, because Yahweh Shem Yahushua is also going to unlock, the spiritual powers, which is an upgrade, which is the next level, because the Most High does things gradually too. It says, "They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Yahweh Shai shall reign forever. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth." So those that have their trust in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, they're going to understand the truth. "And such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints." And the only way you could be a saint is if you're an Israelite. "And he have cared for his elect." So Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, he cares for his elect men, women, and children. Breakdown, going back to AI. It says, "No torment shall touch them. Even death cannot break the script. In the time of their visitation they shall shine. Transformation is guaranteed." Interpretation, the elect are untouchable until their mission is complete. Going to St. John, chapter 6, verse 37, reads, "All that the Father, which his name is Yahweh, he is or he exists, giveth me And the me is dealing with Yahweh Shai, which means he saves or he delivers, shall come to me, which is, that's the elect. And him that cometh to me will I in no wise cast out, for I am come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And that's the same attitude that, we have to have, man. It's not about us, it's about him. 39, it says, and this is the Father's will which have sent me, that of all which he have given me, I should lose nothing. So the elect are not going to be lost, but should raise it up again at the last day. 40, and this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. Right? So if you believe in Yahweh Shai, right, you may, or I should say may, have everlasting life. Right? And we're being raised up in these last days. So going back to AI, break down, all that the Father giveth me shall come to me. The elect cannot reject the truth. I should lose nothing. Yahweh Shah's mission includes preserving every elect soul. Interpretation: if Yahweh gave them to Yahweh Shah, they cannot be lost. The script forbids it. Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. It says, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace. For the Most High is my record, how greatly I long after you all in the bowels of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere and without offense until the day of Mashiach, being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Yahweh Shah HaMashiach unto the glory and praise of Yahweh. You know, going back to AI, it says the good work is the elect's faith, endurance, and transformation. Yahweh himself performs it. He sustains their spirit. You know? So it's really Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai that is moving men. Interpretation: the elect don't endure by willpower. They endure because Yahweh keeps them online. You know? So going to the Apocrypha, this is Baruch chapter 4. I believe it quoted 24 and 26. It says, like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they see shortly your salvation from our power, which shall come upon you with great glory. And it's going to be with great glory, man. The sight of Yahweh Shai and, the armies of heaven coming to deliver his elect from America, and brightness of the everlasting. My children, my children, suffer patiently. Now the children is dealing with the men, starting with the men, I should say. Suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from the Most High. For thy enemy hath persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck. Right, because they're gonna persecute the believers, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, man. You know, and Yahweh Shah Ratazade, you know, the sincere men pass with fine colors, right? It says, but surely, it's like, yeah, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. Whose destruction are we going to see? The so-called white man, whose name is Esau. We're going to see his destruction. We're going to tread upon his neck. It says, my delicate ones have gone rough ways and were taken away as a flock caught by the enemies. That's us going into our captivities. So going back to AI breakdown, it says, even scattered, oppressed, and afflicted, the elect are remembered. Their deliverance is guaranteed, right? Interpretation, the elect cannot be erased by captivity, oppression, or enemies. Their arc always ends in redemption. So, Revelation 7, Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, which these angels are assigned to hold back the destruction. But as you see destruction happening, they've been allowed to release those winds, right? And how do we know that, or how do we know the wind represents destruction? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 1. It says, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, which Babylon goes into the Hebrew Babel, which means confusion, which we know modern day America is the daughter of Babylon. Man. It says, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, right? Those that despise the word of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua spoken by his prophets, the prophets of the ones that have the doctrine that was given to Great Millstone. It says a destroying wind, which is that nuclear wind, because he's going to bring nuclear destruction. And that's the wind that is going to blow upon the earth, right? It says that the wind shall not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. Going back to Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, man. That exhibition of judgment. I'm gonna just get to the point. This is Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1. It says, And Yahweh said unto him, which is the angel, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark, which that mark going back to Torah, which means exemption of judgment, which tells the 100% truth and the true names, right? Upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, right? So that's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua sealing his elect in their foreheads through the angels, and then it goes into the 144,000, which is 12,000 elect men from each tribe, the principal men. Going back to AI, it says, for the breakdown, the angels cannot unleash destruction until the elect are sealed. The seal equals divine operation of survival. Interpretation, the elect are literally protected by a spiritual seal of immunity. So the elect have a spiritual seal of immunity, man. And then Ezekiel 9 that I just read, 9 chapter 9, what am I saying? Ezekiel chapter 9, verses 4 through 6. Keywords: mark, Torah, exemption from judgment, sigh and cry. Breakdown: the mark is not physical, it's spiritual exemption. Judgment passes over them, just as in Martazarian or Mizraim. Interpretation: this is the original plot armor preset. Judgment is selective and the elect are off limits. But I'm going to continue. In verse 5, it says, unto the others, so those that don't have the exemption of judgment, he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city. And that's what, even ICE is doing right now. And smite. To smite means to kill. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children, and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. So he's giving his angels charge to slay old, young, maids, which is, young women, little children, those monsters, women, which, you women are really, you're going to get the belt real bad, because you're the weaker vessel. It says, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, which those are men that are of the elect. And begin at my sanctuary, those that know that they're Israelites. Then they begin at the ancient men, which were before the house, the tabernacle. So let's go to St. Matthew. This is St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. It says, and except those days should be shortened. And we see that time is speeding up, man. It's already about to be February. The sock is right around the corner. It says there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Verse 24 says, for there shall arise false Christs, false messiahs or anointed, and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders. So the Most High is going to allow them to show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, so it's not possible. They shall deceive the very elect. Right. Jumping down to verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds. So the elect are scattered from the four winds, right? Not just here in America, but predominantly here in America, from one end of heaven to the other. So you men that are outside of America, you're going to be protected too. Especially you brothers that are in that war theater of Europe. Going back to AI breakdown, it says the days of destruction are shortened for the elect's sake. Even deception cannot overpower them. Interpretation. The entire timeline of the end is adjusted to protect the elect. So let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, 26 through 30. It reads, as for the servants whom I have given thee, which is the elect, there shall not one of them perish. So no one's going to perish. For I will require them from among thy number. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. And I believe that, man. And why wouldn't you? Look at all the things that he's done already. 28, the heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, saith Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. Why is that? Because he has his death angels protecting you. The warrior angels, the war angels. It says, my hands shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell or destruction. Be joyful, O thou mother, with thy children, for I will deliver thee, saith Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. So even the elect woman and her children are going to be delivered, man. So going back to AI breakdown, the elect are hidden during chaos. They receive divine provision. And hey, the Most High, who says that he has to give this body a spirit of hunger, man? Really, people are so, the average person is so lazy, they don't even know the capabilities of their body. They just know what their body can take, and it's taking a beating through, falsehoods, lies, poor diet, decadent lifestyle, and sin. And how much so of a beating does the body take because of those things? Right? So how much more righteousness? Interpretation, it says, while the world collapses, the elect operate under supernatural covering. So the Most High is gonna make a distinction. It says, while the elect have plot armor, predestination, their story was written before creation. Divine ownership. They belong to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Harakhudash. Angelic protection. Assigned guardians ensure their survival. You know, spiritual sealing. Judgment cannot touch them. Scripted endurance. Yahweh sustains their faith. Guaranteed deliverance. Their arc ends in glory, not destruction. I'm going to read the teaching hook. It says, the elect are not lucky. They are written. They are not surviving by chance. They are preserved by decree. So it's a law of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem HaKodash to preserve the elect by decree, which a decree is a law. It says the world bends around their destiny because Yahweh authored their ending before their beginning. All right. Let me see. Oh, how that mouse pad that separates. So sometimes I hit the what do you call it? The right click button. So to define plot armor, right? It says plot armor is a storytelling term that describes when a character survives, escapes danger, or succeeds in situations where realistically they should have been defeated, harmed, or killed. Their survival is protected by the needs of the story, not by logic or probability. Let me read that again. It says plot armor is a storytelling term that describes when a character survives, escapes danger, or succeeds in situations where realistically they should have been defeated, harmed, or killed. Their survival is protected by the needs of the story, not by logic or probability. Think of it like this: the character can't die because the story still needs them. The danger is real, but the outcome is already scripted. The narrative bends around them so they can fulfill their role. In other words, the plot itself protects them. That's why the term fits perfectly when talking about the elect in a biblical context. The elect aren't surviving by luck or skill alone. And I always say that even in my situation, in my lot, man, I ain't doing this on my own. If it was up to me, I'll be in the spiritual world chillaxing. You might have probably chilling with Rapa Allah or something, you know? More than likely not, but just saying. It says they're preserved because Yahweh already wrote their ending before their beginning. Their destiny is protected by divine authorship, not circumstance. So once again, the elect got plot armor, man. So hopefully that comforts, you know, those that are having the spirit of doubt. You got to think that, you got the plot armor. So, don't worry about, what these people in the world worry about, man. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai got us. And I'm thankful that he still got me. So with that, I hope at least one brother of the elect was edified. And I'm going to say shalom.